Hello and welcome to my little journey. In case you don't know, which you most likely don't, since this is the first one, is that I'm doing what every man has to do at some point in his life, and that is to play Kingdom Heart. That is simply just a part of life that we all have to go through. But I'm doing it a little different since I've decided to do it the correct way, or the only morally just and ethical way to play Kingdom Hearts. And that is to play every single thing that appears in those games. And in case you don't know, that's a lot of stuff. And the reason why I do it this way is kind of twofold. The first one is that it's I find it funny. Let's just say that you are gonna be going through these kind of like tent poles, franchises, and works of art, just to play a silly Disney Square Enix crossover game. And the other one is that I've been meaning to play these for a really long time. And I don't know, I just find it a lot more motivating when I have kind of like a framing device to kind of like push me or guide me through consuming media and games, which is, of course, the most important part of life. And I know always been meaning to play Kingdom Hearts, and it has a lot of like really good stuff in it from other stuff, and I don't know. I felt like it would be a fun kind of true line to finally play stuff like Final Fantasy, revisit Disney movies, and play like other stuff that appears. I see like Bouncer on the PS2 is on the list for some reason, so that'd be fun. Yeah, so this is the start of this journey that might take decades, probably. But yeah, I'm finally sitting down and playing Final Fantasy. More specifically, I have to play Final Fantasy 1 through 10 in order to play Kingdom Hearts 1. So yeah, this is my thoughts on Final Fantasy 1. I'll be kind of like mostly talking about them in vacuum, or how they like relate in their own franchise. So for now, we can consider this like a Final Fantasy blog. And yeah, I was very surprised how much I liked Final Fantasy One and how much like I found unique in it. Because it's like a really foundational game. It sets the bar. It sets the trend for like the entire JRPG genre going forward. You have million imitators and people built on it. And I probably had some like preconceived notions of like bad things in old video games. I will admit that I probably expected a lot of unfair stuff, but no, I genuinely liked it, and I was kind of surprised about like how robust it already was. I am usually not a fan of turn-based, or I need a lot in my turn-based combat to properly enjoy it. It's mostly not. It's not that I think it lacks strategy or it's not valid. It's just that repetition is kind of like a killer for me in a lot of ways. And when you have like the kind of very like grindy JRPG framing around turn-based, it can quickly turn into like repeating, spamming, going through. And this game wasn't free of that, but it was much less of a problem than I expected, and it wasn't that long either. It was like a fun little 11-hour romp for me. But no, I you already had a lot of stuff that like either is still like a staple modern, or you will think are like a new spin on the genre, but they already did it way back, and for some reason abandoned it. Some of these things, I'm hoping some of them will stick at least for a while. But yeah, a little bit into the specifics. I kind of really like the rhythm of this game, or the way it's structured its progression. In case you don't know, it's like semi-open world. You can walk freely in space, but you have like these linear checks you need to activate in order to like unlock a bigger part of the world. But the way it kind of works in practice, at least the way I played it, I imagine you can choose a bit yourself in the way you grind and when you move forward. But you have your kind of like town, or at that point in the game like a base, and then you move out and you try to get further and further, because at least in the beginning you have that is punishing, you have limited resources, limited mana, and there's no way to really fill it up other than expensive equipment or getting to a town and fill it up in there. So you have this like almost like semi-roguelike rhythm to it, where you like you go for a run, where you go out and then you deplete resources, you go back and then you buy stuff that you gain from that journey to upgrade, get more, and then you get further and further until you reach the next town, and then you kind of do the same for to there, at least in the first half, which I kind of like, that it changes the rhythm somewhat and between where you are, because after a while you gain like more faster way to maneuver the map, and it's more about quests and kind of like figuring out through clues what the next step is, and then it's a bit more like going through a dungeon, which kind of is the same, where you might go for dungeon run and then you run out and you unfortunately have to go back, and then but you still beat a lot of enemies, so you have money and you upgrade and you go in again and try anew, and it really works. I can see why this game blew up back then, and when I still think it has a lot of value returning it today, even if you're a Final Fantasy fan or a JRPG fan, or just you like video games. I think there is a solid argument to play Final Fantasy 1. It's not redundant, and I don't know, kudos to them. It takes a lot to be like inspiring so many entries into a genre, and then still you can return to it and find a lot of new stuff, or at least remixed in a unique way. Like the mana system, which remind me of the recent Baldur's Gate 3, where you have these like different levels of spells, and each level has its own mana pool or a finite amount of uses. And I know, I like it. It keeps your entire like your first spell you get can stay relevant throughout the game, because in like really big long fights you might really you might go on for long, you deplete all your like big hitters. They do something clever where they have like each level has kind of its like unique use space, where like some of the particular support spells are in level 3 only, or the team wide spells are in one level, while the focus on one hero spots is in another. So no, just good stuff, and it builds really well on that like excursion rhythm. And I guess you can say I noticed when I was like figuring out what version to play. I'm playing on the Pixel remasters, by the way. yeah, short note about that. You have some tools that wasn't in the original. Like you can turn off encounters and you can remix the XP gain a bit, and you have a minimap. Which I keep default mostly, but I do use them in order to like keep the pace going. When I feel like I'm just walking in circles, exploring, and don't want to like kill the same grunt for the millionth time, I do cheat, I guess you can say. So if you think I'm a hack fraud, that's valid and correct. But it's the way I'm doing it because it's a lot more fun. But I am doing it to like make it as interesting as can for myself. Not to like my goal isn't to like get fast through everything just to say I have played it and do a check mark. I do plan on like enjoying each entry, which might be hard in Final Fantasy 2. I've heard bad things. We'll see. Oh fuck! Where was I? Wasn't important then. But yeah, gameplay. The gameplay was good. I enjoyed it, and when like figuring out what version to play of this, I have no pulse on the zeitgeist when it comes to Final Fantasy. I don't know what's a hot take. I don't know what's like given common knowledge. For what I'm saying might just be like everyone knows this, and I'm just late to the party. I don't know, but I was researching just like what version to play, and I found like a lot of people saying this one you only play for the gameplay. It wasn't before 4 or 5. They start doing plots, grand characters, all the good stuff you know love from Final Fantasy. And it's true to a degree, but I would say that people are kind of like underselling that aspect of Final Fantasy 1. In a way, because yeah, like plot wise, it's very it can be very of its genre at spots. I think there's some part of the plot that are still a bit unique and fun. But yeah, you are chosen one. You have to find the big evil guy and kill him, and you have these 4 switches to do it. But I would say for like a JRPG, like what's really important there is to kind of have your own flavor. Like, is there something unique about the world you are gonna occupy? And I don't know. I think this game does a rather solid job at it. There's a lot of like fun little bits. Every city had its like own little flavor. I'm gonna use flavor a lot. I like flavor. I like flavor in my games, and especially my JRPGs. And you kind of like they had their own species, or kind of like gimmick, or even like a puzzle you needed to like solve. Usually just find another item, but like yeah, you had a little cute little narrative attached to it. Like you come in, it has a unique structure. Like this one had a lot of rivers going through. This one had like a dragon guy in it. I don't know, it just really elevated it. I was always like eager to move on to the next one. It made this world feel alive with the like limited resources they had, and the plot was simplistic, but I don't know, it never overstated welcome. Because it was mostly you given a motivation, given a target, and then it was just you going through this little like cute scenario from other. Like you had the dwarven hole where you need to like get a TNT and then blow up an entire part of the overworld to get further. And I don't know, was this one particular moment that stood out to me, where you go to a town before the water temple, and you find this like submarine you can't breathe in yet, and there's a girl outside waiting and saying, oh no, you can't use this before you need the oxygen stone. But when you get that, she's just like, finally, someone please help. And then she just fades away and she dies, and like she felt like she had been guarding the submarine with like whatever little power she had left. And then when you go down and start exploring the water temple, you then learn there are mermaids, and they are very specifically the J.C. Anderson version of the mermaids, where they turn into sea foam when they die or go up on land. Or I haven't read it, and I know it stood out, like it's just referencing a very famous fairy tale, but I don't know, it was just getting this little vehicle had this like somber melancholic moment, especially when go down like meet her friends that like were wondering where she is, what happened to her, and I don't, and you can't interact, you don't speak, so you can't like even tell her what happened. And something that would be like a moment, it's just like a hurdle, another game. Suddenly, it's this like very sweet little storytelling moment that she just gave everything in hope to find someone that could use this submarine and go down and help them from just one of the crystals, not even the main bad guy. Because like I don't know, I also really like that where like each crystal were like a proper element and was affecting the area. So you had these kind of like smaller narratives of this is happening because this is going wrong and that's affecting these people in that way, and you need to go through and learn about this little spot in the world through finding specific items in order to then get to the dungeon and kill the problem with a sword. And so yeah, I mean, of course you don't get like intricate character drama from this, which yeah, or later game will get sophisticated, but I don't know, there is something about this like sweet little kind of like it gets a lot more fairy tale like, almost, I would say, the storytelling in Final Fantasy 1 because of it, and because of the like very abstracted simple graphics depicting it, and extremely short interactions, very quickly, like one sentence. But like each character has their one sentence, and it builds a really good picture. I know it's little fluff. I think it's very little fluff in this game. Every step was memorable and unique in at least some way, and even like the world map has these like extraneous little parts of them that has nothing important in them to just make it feel like a proper lived-in world. Like, yeah, this team was definitely motivated and had like a lot of cool ideas in how they're gonna bring it to life, more than just like how much different stats and gameplay interaction can we have in here. And I just think that's very cool. And yeah, really strong start on my road to Kingdom Hearts, and I'm looking forward to seeing how I feel about Final Fantasy 2. I heard a lot of bad things about it, and I heard one guy say something good about it, so we'll see where I land. And in between Final Fantasy, I'll be watching the relevant Disney movies to Kingdom Hearts 1, and I'll do a similar kind of vlogs about those. So yeah, I'll see you at the Kingdom Hearts.